But it was much more. On a bright but frigid Monday, people here awoke to 16 inches of falling snow, while people in the West were tossed from bed to a trembling world. The skies opened, the earth split, and humankind reached out. This is Louisville's story. Snowbound, when Louisville stood still. A Wave 3 News retrospective on the Great Snowstorm of 1994. Coming up, Louisville at a standstill. 94. Inch by inch, Louisville was paralyzed. The usual Monday morning commute became the road to nowhere. Interstates closed, power went out. Businesses, schools, newspaper delivery, even mail service shut down. For those who ventured forth, this is what they found.
It was a picture postcard site outside the Kentucky Capitol at 5 o'clock this morning. But it wasn't quite as pretty on the highways leading to and from Frankfort. Only one lane of I-64 was passable, and that was risky at best. This car is one of several abandoned overnight as the gathering storm dumped ice and then snow. In Shelby County, traffic came to a halt at Shelbyville. The result of a car stalled on an exit ramp and blocking the only lane of westbound traffic.
What's the word? Turn around, go back.
Further west in Simpsonville, dozens of trucks and cars have been buried under 18 inches of snow at this truck stop. The drivers took shelter here overnight. When it became clear, the roads were shutting down.
Roads started icing up and had a lot of freezing rain. I looked out the mirror and seen my trailer come around the side of it. I said, well, about time to pull over. I made it up here to this little truck stop here and sat down for a while. Next thing you know, then woke up this morning looking like about 2 feet of snow up to my knees. So like we're going to be here for a while now.
Judy and Leo Bowman were heading home to Shepherdsville from a family reunion in North Carolina. Leo says there's not much anyone can do right now.
Sleep, mainly. Talk, sleep. Just get up and walk around and knock the kinks out.
Outside, truckers drink coffee and wait for the snowplows. Reggie Dixon of LaPorte, Indiana, is taking another look at the interstate to see if there's any progress. He wasn't expecting to spend the night in Simpsonville, Kentucky.
Oh, no. We weren't planning on staying last night, but it looks like we may be staying again tonight.
Well, these folks here don't know how long it's going to be before the highways get reopened and they get back on the road and to their ultimate destinations. Most of them say they're just grateful to have someplace warm to get into out of this miserable weather.
Emergency crews have to be out. Others who tried to drive end up wishing they'd stayed home.
What's the driving been like? There is no driving. If you don't have four-wheel drive, you don't need to be out in this mess. It's terrible.
But don't take his word for it. Here's proof. This truck pulling out a tow truck, pulling another tow truck that was trying to tow a car. Even the plows were getting stuck.
Records are stuck, we're stuck. Everybody's getting stuck.
How long you been here? I mean, what happened? You guys just coming down through?
Yeah, I just come back here trying to plow. Got stuck in here. I can't get nowhere now.
When the plows and tows can't make it, you know regular drivers are in for a fight. Most smaller cars were out of luck. City road crews were ready for bad weather, just not this much.
We were under the impression we were going to get an inch of ice. And they called me this morning at 5 o'clock, and we had about a foot.
Road crew supervisors estimate it will take 2 days to clear most of the snow. Meanwhile, a lot of folks are hoofing it.
As you can see, we tried to get the cars out there, and they just wouldn't go anywhere. That stuck truck.
But they're trying to make the best of it.
I couldn't get the truck out or his car out, so we decided to go get some alcoholic beverage and stay in home and throw snowballs after a while.
Did you get anything else in there that's going to sustain you?
Orange juice.
It's a day of learning to get by without. For Sonny and Carolyn Burns and their dog Indy, they get by without electricity. A portable propane heater is the only way to get warm. No phone, no TV, no oven. A game at the kitchen table is the best they can do, and they hope it doesn't last long.
What we thought about doing was moving the kerosene heater in the bathroom and just camping out in there for the night. That's the most closed up room in the house.
About 20,000 LG&E customers are without power tonight. Since early this morning, crews have been on the job. There are two things that are giving LG&E crews big problems. First of all, it's the ice that fell last night, And then the snow earlier this morning is weighting down the power lines and making them snap. Getting to down power lines is the big problem. Bill Curl has been on the job since 6 this morning.
We started from Algonquin Parkway and came to here.
Is the ice a big problem?
A little bit of ice and snow.
Ginger Reed hopes LG&E crews can get the lights back on in her house, but just in case, she's shoveling her driveway to get her 2 kids someplace warm.
Try to get to my in-laws. They have a fireplace. Nice one there.
While LG&E crews work to get power restored, customers are asked to have patience. It may be days before all the down lines are fixed. If you don't have four-wheel drive, it's the road to nowhere. It's been like that since Monday. Even though the state says it's been plowing in places, there's still a 6-inch layer of ice and snow. It makes for a bumpy ride.
Well, I don't think the state is quite as blessed with equipment as the city and county necessarily, and some of the other states that deal with this type of storm.
That's why there are only a handful of state snowplows on the road right after the storm hit. Jefferson County and Louisville have more trucks on the road. Now, some of them are coming in for repairs. In most cases, nothing major. But on a few trucks, salt spreaders have jammed up. On others, bolts holding the snowplow to the bumper are shearing off, or the blades are wearing out.
No, we're not used to this. They just, once in a blue moon, you know, when you get 5 or 6 inches, that's when they come out. And, of course, with 17 inches, they're out 24 hours a day. And I guess they'll stay out until they get it all done.
Coming up, in times of crisis, there are always those who find a way to help. Next, meet the heroes of the storm. The weather, the story was a bit different.
Flames and thick smoke shoot into the cold morning air. About 6:45, fire roars through this home in the Oak Park subdivision. Given the conditions, firefighters move in as fast as possible. The bitter cold weather creates nothing but problems.
Are you going to reverse way, or are you going to go back there?
No, we're just pumping into the other engine.
Water runs low, hydrants are frozen. In a matter of minutes, the entire house burns. Judith Crick lives nearby.
And I hollered for my husband. He had just come in from third shift, and I looked out and I could see the reflection of the red light, and I looked out and the whole sky over here was just orange.
6 people, mostly elderly, live inside. One suffers a broken arm. Paramedics take 3 others to the hospital for observation. Jim Rachel, the man in the light brown jacket, pulls several of the victims to safety.
The lady said that she had some old people in there that she was keeping, and she had 5 of them. And there were 2 in this back bedroom, and then there was a lady up in the dining room area.
And you went inside?
Yeah. And I went in, and the 2 people in the back bedroom, the one was too heavy. I couldn't carry her.
After 2 hours, firefighters are still working. Frigid temperatures force them into warm emergency vehicles. They also find warmth in the burning house.
When you stop, actually, when it starts getting real cold, and you start thawing out, when you get inside the cab and stuff, but when you're fighting a fire, you don't feel it that much.
Winter loosens its grip for no one, not even the sick or injured. Emergency crews fight the snow drifts and the frigid temperatures. A call that should take 1 unit now needs 2.
We're going to help this other crew. It's not uncommon to have to help other crews in this type of weather.
In the last 24 hours, city medical teams have responded to more than 200 calls. That's twice the usual number.
A lot of people would drive on their own. You know, they can't get to their cars. Some can't even hardly get out of their houses. So they call 911 and send an ambulance, and we go and help them.
Medical teams have dodged heavy traffic and traveled roads blocked with ice and snow. A Code 3 call takes an average of 15 minutes. Before the storm, help would be there in 5. Volunteers are trying to help with some medical calls.
The traffic is unreal.
David Adams is using his four-wheel drive to deliver critical medication to patients who are snowed in.
As far as I'm concerned, everybody needs their medicine now. So anything that I can do to help out, I would think that if I was in the same situation, there'd be people who'd help me too.
Adams picks up 2 prescriptions for an elderly couple on Heights Lane. The heart medication comes just in time.
Mr. Novicki?
Yes.
Hello, my name's Dave Adams. I understand you were in need.
Yes, we were. We've been waiting for a couple of days.
Have you?
And that medicine may save this couple from calling for further help. Tonight, that help is in short supply.
Ron Webb doesn't have many landscaping jobs this time of year, so he's helping Dare to Care deliver food.
I had the four-wheel drive vehicle, so I said, yeah, I'd be glad to do it.
This trip is for a family living on rice for much of this week. It's a bumpy ride and tough to make even in his Jeep. But Ron said it's well worth the trouble.
Just thankful that you're there, I guess. Thankful to get some food.
John Bishop couldn't navigate the hill outside his apartment, but even if he could, he didn't have the money to buy groceries.
He's got a four-wheel drive truck, and that's how we got up. That works. It's great. Yes, I appreciate it.
For Bishop and his 3-year-old son, John Robert, the box of food is a blessing.
If you looked in our refrigerator right now, it's just about totally empty. We decided to pay rent, and because we decided to pay rent, we couldn't eat.
The family will eat tonight and next week, thanks to Dare to Care and Ron Webb. He's already off to help another family, perhaps not fully aware of the difference he's making.
What's that? Carrots.
Stay with us. The snow keeps coming.
Morning, one of the bread companies made it to this Kroger in the Highlands. It was a welcome sight for manager Sue Haskins. After yesterday, the shelves were bare. This is one of the busiest in the Kroger chain. Usually it's open 24 hours a day, but the last 2 days, only 8 of the 125 employees have been able to make it to work. Hours now are 9 to 6.
They've really been troopers. They've hung in there, and I don't think they've gotten lunches and breaks and things that they used to, and it's been tough.
Tough, but they're managing. They've even had time to worry about some of their regular customers.
We've got some elderly people we've checked on to make sure they've got enough things. We've called them and make sure they have groceries and milk and things. We've taken some things to them.
Besides perishables like produce and eggs, there's plenty of food. No one's going to go hungry. At this store, Haskin expects more bread, eggs, and milk today. And as opening time drew closer this morning, things started looking up. The one employee with a 4-wheel drive car managed to bring in more workers.
We have another employee. It's going to be a good day. We got people.
And certainly before closing time tonight, hundreds of customers have been locked up inside for 2 days.
Before the Guard can get anybody else out of the snow, they have to start with themselves. Guardsman J.R. Peck needs to check about 20 4-wheel drive vehicles at this armory. A few need jump-starting. All need to be warmed up. Before the official call-out came, the Guard made sure it was ready.
We anticipated somewhat. We moved several vehicles inside the building over the weekend to keep them heated because we anticipated some sort of need for them. So that's given us an initial sort of dig our own selves out response set of vehicles.
Humvees and ambulances are first pressed into service to pick up stranded Guardsmen. By early afternoon, there's finally a pool of drivers to pair up with the vehicles.
Okay, so that gives us 5 Humvees, 10 ambulances, and, okay, start on deuce and a half later.
Yeah.
If you can get any more Humvees and ambulances,
That's all the Humvees going.
that's it, okay.
Yeah, everything starts and runs. Like I say, the fuel status is good.
The Guard's primary concern at this point, getting doctors, nurses, and other medical personnel to hospitals and clinics. But they've also had to pull out stranded emergency vehicles and this van delivering meals to the River City Correctional Center.
I have two delivered to make. So I made the first one, no problem. I get over here. That's where I had all my problems.
In the great snowstorm of '94, the Guard will get called upon to solve a lot of people's problems.
Mail that's going nowhere. tens of thousands of letters and packages waiting for the weather and the roads to improve. Louisville had no mail deliveries Tuesday. Road conditions kept all but 25% of postal workers at home.
We're open for business. It's just that two things are finding it very difficult to get here, our people and our mail.
Other essentials were in high demand.
Fresh bread.
Bread deliveries are running behind. Some stores are wiped clean of all basic foods, like bread, eggs, and chicken. This Thornton's on Bardstown Road trucked in their own supplies of bread and milk. And customers like Marshall Thompson are grateful.
When Dixie's closed, about 6 places. No. I came to Thornton's and they poured up the milk, so here we are.
With the roads impassable in some places, residents help each other get what they need. Bill Ryan is running errands by snowmobile.
I've been actually going out and getting milk for the neighbors and taking that back home, and each time I go to a different store, I ask them for a newspaper, but they don't have any.
That's because newspaper carriers are also having a rough time making deliveries. Only about half of the 200,000 homes in the area received a paper.
This morning we delivered about 50 to 60% of the papers. Road conditions were much worse, and we just could not get some of the papers to the carriers, and the carriers couldn't get to the papers in some cases.
The presses are up and running now, printing only one of the usual 4 editions, and carriers are leaving early. They hope to have papers on the doorsteps of most homes Wednesday.
Next, this time it wasn't Rick Pitino's team taking on Bob Knight's, but it was Kentucky versus Indiana in a different contest.
It may be at a snail's pace, but morning rush hour traffic is moving. Some streets, like Bardstown Road, are in pretty good shape. It's a different story in less traveled areas, like here on Cherokee Parkway. The snow continues to trap many cars and people trying to get to work.
And I'm late already, and my car's stuck. So I'm going to try to get hold of someone to help me to get it out of the street so the four-wheel drives can at least get back. They're the only ones that are making it up and down my street.
A lot of people ride the bus. Many folks wait for friends with four-wheel drive vehicles. Others walk. Once downtown, the buildup begins. There are few accidents. But take a look from the air. Ramps leading to the business district are congested. Some people abandon their vehicles and walk. Traffic officers stay busy keeping cars moving. A stranded vehicle backs traffic on the 2nd Street Bridge from Indiana. Police move in and push Jeffersonville's Mike O'Brien to the side of the road.
Because the traffic was so slow, the car overheated, I found a place wide enough to stop so the traffic could get by, but then it just didn't want to restart.
Slowly, downtown employees make it to work. Clark County, Indiana driver Scott Roby can't believe Kentucky roads are in such poor shape.
Until we got to the bridge, it was great. It just took us 45 minutes to get across the bridge.
That long?
Everything in Indiana is piece of cake. It's all dry, mostly dry, smooth. Kentucky's miserable.
Snowplow operator Benny Johnson helps relieve misery, but Old Man Winter's mighty blast is giving his plow major problems.
It's real rough, and it's deep. But we don't went through a trans. We got the trans built, got it back together. So it's like everything else, one problem after another.
Until conditions improve, police know they have their work cut out for them.
You don't need to come to work. You don't need to be out. We strongly suggest you try to stay at home.
A look from the sky shows two things. The interstates are moving, traffic's flowing, but the Kentucky highways are still icy white and hazardous. One bad spot leaves motorists freshly stranded. Road crews have worked 3 days to clear the highways. This is as far as they've come. But compare Kentucky interstates to Indiana interstates. In Indiana, you see 2 lanes of black pavement. Drivers find the roads smooth, relatively dry, and able to handle speeds like this. Across the Kentucky line, however, the speed decreases and the ride is bumpy and downright dangerous. In a Wave 3 special report, Louisville Mayor Jerry Abramson and County Judge David Armstrong went live to talk about the snowstorm. Hugh Finn asked the crucial question.
Judge Armstrong, a lot of people are saying it seems like they cleared the roads over in Indiana. Why can't they do that on the Kentucky side of the river?
The mayor said Indiana had less snow, Louisville is more populated, and
they didn't have the kind of equipment available here, the State Highway Department, that the state of Indiana is committed to.
Can Indiana send some of their stuff over this way?
That'd be great. We'd be more than happy to.
Is there anything preventing? As it turns out, Indiana is sending Kentucky 10 snowplows. Kentucky state workers had tried all afternoon to get the plows and were happy to announce their success in the evening.
We're very grateful for that, and it shows a real cooperative spirit on the part of Indiana.
Seymour says Indiana is more prepared for snowstorms because it generally has a colder climate.
In Kentucky, our climates have been considered moderate, and so the basic line of thinking is that it's not necessarily appropriate for us to gear up for an event such as this and have those vehicles in a warehouse somewhere all the other times.
Those 10 snowplows from Indiana arrived last night. They should be a significant help. They'll bring the number of operating snowplows on state highways in Jefferson County up to about 30.
Tons of snow pushed aside at 40 miles an hour. Still, interstates remain snow and ice covered. With daytime high temperatures below zero, sand blows in the wind. Plowing is the best weapon. What are you going to do tonight? That's what we want to know.
Well, plow a lot. We do a lot of plowing. I don't know if we're going to plow out or not, but it is going to freeze right back over.
The plow trucks have to dodge stalled and stuck vehicles. The roadways are littered with cars upright and overturned, buses and trucks. Almost 2 days after the storm, some tractor-trailer drivers are just now being liberated.
I've been stuck since about 8 o'clock yesterday morning.
Late this afternoon, the wait is over. A mega tow truck comes to the rescue. Tommy Wimsat started pulling trucks out more than 24 hours ago. He says interstate travel doesn't exist in Metro Louisville.
They're a mess. I mean, the downtown Louisville looked pretty good, but 64 and 71 and Gene Snyder, they're a mess.
As night sets in, some truckers prepare for day 3 of their hostage situation by Mother Nature. They can't go anywhere, but they have to keep filling their tanks and starting their engines. Because in this weather, even diesel fuel begins to gel because of the cold.
All right, right now we're on 65 southbound, and we do see some emergency vehicles that look like they're helping out one stranded motorist. Chances are they'll be back on the road pretty soon. But we're heading down to Gene Snyder Freeway because we understand that there are more than 85 cars alone on the freeway stalled. We'll let you know when we get there. There's a little traffic on the road. There are 3 or 4 cars behind me, a truck up in front of me. Looks like I've got a van coming up to our left, Bob, if you can get that, pulling another car. And you can tell by the way we're bouncing around, folks, that this is no smooth path that's been scraped out here. He's pulling a boat. He's heading to warmer climates. I don't blame him. We finally come across our first stalled vehicles right here around Beulah Church Road. We've got one back here, which is pretty much covered up, and it looks like we've got several in the median and on the side of the road up here. Here they are. This is what the cars that are still out here on the Gene Snyder look like. They are really buried in the snow. This one's completely off in the median. And as you can see, the traffic is still coming, so people are making it, but this car's going to be stuck for a while. Take a look at how deep this is, folks, on the sides of the road. I mean, it's up to my knees. That's how bad it is where the plows have come through. So if you go off the road here on the Gene Snyder or any of the interstates, you're going to be in a world of hurt. It's best to stay at home. That's it from the Gene Snyder. Here comes the rest of the traffic.
Help has arrived in the form of snowplows. The state of Indiana contributed 10 of these to Louisville's effort to get snow and ice off state highways. The trucks began arriving last night, complete with drivers. They immediately went to work. With the additional vehicles, spokespersons say the state of Kentucky will have about 30 snowplows working at any one time on state roads in Jefferson County. As a result of efforts by state workers throughout Kentucky, the interstates are beginning to reopen.
Although traffic had already picked up in Jefferson County, the interstates have been officially closed since Monday by the governor. It will become legal to drive on Interstate 65 from Louisville to Elizabethtown starting at 10 a.m. this morning. It became legal to drive south of Elizabethtown last night. But there are still some restrictions. The governor says travel will be limited to one lane and 40 miles per hour. The reopening will be done with care. The National Guard, state police, and transportation cabinet officials will serve as escorts through the worst places. The governor still urges people to stay off the roads, if at all possible. Some interstates outside of Louisville are also opening. I-75 south of Florence will open on a limited basis at 10 a.m. this morning. Parts of I-24 opened last night. But other interstates in Kentucky, like I-71 and I-64 west of Lexington, will remain closed until the weather and the roads improve.
Truck drivers seemed to have a lot of courage earlier today. They were most evident on I-64, even though it wasn't officially open yet. Kentucky State Police didn't even bother pulling them over.
We're really more or less concerned with getting, the vehicles off the emergency strips out of the travel portion of the road so we can get it back open.
State snowplows cleared paths so trucks stranded on the highway could drive out. At this Waddy truck stop, drivers idled their engines and idled away their time, waiting for word they could leave.
Many of these trucks and their drivers have been stranded here since the storm hit. Others limped along I-64 until they were told to get off here. All the drivers agree. They say they've never seen a state do a worse job of clearing up the road.
Keith Dyer left Iowa a couple of days ago, where they had plenty of snow, but not on the roads.
I mean, the next day they have it all cleared, but down here they're still not quite sure how to handle that type of situation.
Other drivers, losing between $100 to $200 every day they're stranded, had harsher criticism.
Right now, Georgia's bought equipment, Dallas, Texas has bought equipment that far south because for the last 5 years, watch your own newscast, they've all had ice problems. They know to keep the public safe, they've had to go out and buy the equipment. And Kentucky still says, well, we don't get this all the time. You're a lot farther north than what Georgia is.
Just what did 16 inches of snow mean? If you took all the snow in Jefferson County, it would have filled Freedom Hall 25,000 times. Inevitably, snow turns to water. Next, the damage done. And temperatures return to normal. But the storm's grip hadn't quite let go.
It's clear now, but in just a few hours, Firstborn Lane will be choked with traffic. At the Chevron station, they've been watching the backups all week and predict Monday will be one of the worst.
Probably as far as Shelbyville Road. I've seen it in the last couple of days with the semis cutting through. With the interstates open back up, it might not be that far down, but it'll be close to it.
Thousands of commuters will be headed back to work, driving the interstates for the first time since the worst winter storm hit. Of all the highways in Jefferson County, those that are most traveled are in the best condition. Interstate 64, 65, and 71 are all clear. All the lanes on Interstate 64 have been plowed. Snow has even been cleared from the shoulders. But as you merge onto the highways, be cautious. Not all the ramps have been completely cleared.
Short entry ramps. You'll have some entry ramps that won't be up to their full speed on acceleration distances. There may be some standing water to keep an eye for. There will be some narrowed lanes where snow has been pushed up against median barrier walls.
We found at least 2 lanes covered with snow on the Watterson Expressway. But in some places, all the Watterson's 3 and 4 lanes are clear. But exit ramps are still messy.
The streets are in relatively good shape. Most of them are just wet. But there are spots on almost all of them where there are patches of snow that extend out in the street, and you may suddenly find yourself running out of lane and having to merge, and so it's going to be a little tough.
Heading downtown, no problems here. Even the curbs are clean. 10 private contractors have been working since Friday night to clear downtown streets and parking lots. Their philosophy, if you can't plow it, haul it away.
So the city's hauled the snow here to Riverside Park to become the biggest snowbank in the city. It's as large as a football field and as deep as 9 feet in places.
Road crews are rushing to meet a Monday morning deadline. That's when cars are expected to clog these streets instead of snow.
This is what Joey Brown came home to this morning, water dripping from the ceiling of his condominium on Glen Mary Avenue. Brown says the accumulation of snow on the roof of his building has caused the leaks which are quickly spreading.
It was only about like that wide, and it did all this from the ceiling fan over to the window and got even wider overnight today.
The carpets in the living room are soaked because it's coming in faster than his buckets can collect it. He says until the snow is all gone from the roof, there isn't much he can do.
This is it. I'm going to try to go out and get some more garbage cans about the size of that one, some big garbage cans, because all I have right now is just pots and pans, and that's about it.
What's bad, he said, is, of course, was the roof and this front wall.
In southwest Jefferson County, the news is much worse for Jerry and Dana Cottrell. This rental home they own is damaged beyond repair. The carport roof collapsed under the weight of the snow, bringing down key roof beams with it.
Terrified. I mean, I don't know how to feel. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. I've never had anything happen like this.
A walk through the house shows just how bad the problem is. Ceiling beams in the living room floor, the bathroom wall pushed out at least 6 inches, and the hardwood floor separating as the house continues to sag. Cottrell says an engineer told him the collapsed carport is all that's holding up the front wall.
To stabilize it, if you took this off, that's going to fall.
Yeah.
That's what's holding it up.
Right.
Actually, the carport that fell is what's holding the whole wall up right now. That whole front
you
wall.
remove that, it's always going to be in the front yard then.
That's what he said.
The Cottrell said they're watching television about all the earthquake damage done to homes out in California. They say little did they know that it has some of the same problems right here.
You may double time some days if you work this week at United Parcel Service. Workers who didn't come in get nothing. Ford Motor employees who didn't make it to work got 95% of their pay under their union contract.
Yeah, the card, fill it out, drop in the box, go home.
It's the first day the State Employment Insurance Office opened this week, and there aren't many people here filing for benefits. But Supervisor Dennis Carmen predicts that will change.
I think it's going to be a real zoo next week.
Carmen says the regular crowd is usually large. It will be joined by those filing claims for work loss because of the snow. People who didn't work because their employer closed have no problem, like Dennis Cummins, who transports mobile homes.
Basically, since the highways are covered with snow, I can't work. We can't be on the highways until they're clear, so we don't have a whole lot of choice.
Ralph Knight works on homes.
No access to the roads to begin with, and then I work on new homes mostly. When you get there, where do you park and how do you get inside them?
But would you qualify if your employer was open, but you didn't make it?
Well, I hope I can draw unemployment for the week because I wasn't able to get to work, so I wasn't able to draw a paycheck.
It was slick, and, you know, they was telling us to stay off the road.
We've never had a situation like that, to my knowledge. We'd have to make a ruling on that.
Carmen isn't optimistic and says he hopes such employees can make up the work loss with overtime, vacation, or leave pay.
It's the sound of frustration. Debbie Higgins' car won't start. She's depending on her AAA membership to tow her car to a mechanic, but help has not arrived.
I mean, I have things I'm doing, and I pay this club membership to make sure that my car goes. And I never expected from 3 o'clock yesterday to be waiting almost to 3 o'clock today for just to get my car towed.
200,000 Louisville drivers have AAA memberships. Those drivers pay an average of $40 a year for round-the-clock service. When the snowstorm hit last week, calls flooded AAA offices.
I can't really tell you how long it's going to be, sir.
More than 5,000 calls a day poured into emergency lines. And AAA members were told unless they were stranded on the highway, it could be 3 days before a tow truck arrived.
We're used to serving our members, and when we can't do that, I mean, this is as frustrating on us as it is on the member who can't get the service from us. So, and we've had our share of that.
AAA has 50 private tow trucks in its fleet, the largest in the area. But they say even the biggest couldn't keep up with the overwhelming demand. Since the winter storm, AAA tow trucks have helped 15,000 members. Many have been stranded or stuck in the snow. But 9 days after the big storm, there are still 2,000 members waiting for service. That wait can still take days.
Some of them spend 2 and 3 days. It's mainly due that we're backlogged on pulling people out.
AAA says that backlog will continue, even with their trucks working long hours. When the storm closed city streets, they say even the king of the road couldn't make it out.
Evidence of the slow rising water can be found everywhere along the Ohio. Areas where people play in the summer are covered by water. The high water defies the signs that there has been some life here recently. Along River Road, many homes are underwater, something the homeowners are used to. These homes were built before the floodplain was identified and stricter building codes put into place. Next door, a multi-million-dollar condominium is under construction. The owners have been assured they won't have to worry about getting in and out of their plush dwellings.
We took the lowest elevation on River Road, which is Goose Creek and the entrance to Captain's Quarters. We matched that elevation for our first floor of our garage, so that as long as you could drive down River Road, you had ingress and egress to the garage.
But that's little consolation to other people who live in the low-lying areas. Areas of River Road are blocked today, will likely stay that way for several more days. The Army Corps of Engineers says the Ohio won't crest until sometime tomorrow.
It was originally expected to crest this afternoon, but the National Weather Service has changed that. The forecast now is for it to crest at the upper gauge tomorrow morning at 26 feet.
This is about a quarter of the regular UPS sorting shift, and still, at times, they're working faster than the packages come in. Outside, a few planes have landed and more will be taking off. But this international hub has been sitting idle since Sunday.
We've had to do a major rerouting of our system around Louisville. And you know, Louisville is really the linchpin of the next day air and second day air system for UPS. So it's been very, very difficult and very, very costly.
Costs that cannot be recovered, $65 million. UPS depends on clear runways and roads. It also depends on thousands of sorters, loaders, and unloaders. Now that most of the roads and runways are clear, the company's offering Air District employees double-time pay if they get to work. It hopes to be up to full operation tonight. Here at the Ford truck plant on Chamberlain Lane, there is no movement at all, and there won't be for the rest of the week. That means 2,000 trucks that were supposed to be built were not.
We've got several things that are hurting us right now, and one is the main arteries, the interstates, not being able to get equipment in, or as you can see, these trucks were scheduled to go out of here on Monday and Tuesday, so not being able to get our end product out, nor our new material in, has crippled us.
The truck plant will have to operate Saturdays to catch up. That's overtime, money that's lost. And Cormanis says Louisville suppliers haven't been able to deliver to Ford assembly plants in other states, shutting them down too.
Lost revenue, missed paychecks, stranded motorists, a city snowbound. The storm, however, wasn't all bad. Next, behold the treasure of snow. Slept. The snow brought out the child in most of us, and it also brought out the sleds, the skis, the snowshoes, and the snowmobiles.
Big brothers. Days like this make them absolutely intolerable, especially if you're a little sister. This Jeffersonville snowball fight sets the scene, but the older people were, the more creative they were about how they enjoyed the snow. Park joggers were replaced with cross-country skiers.
All you need is a little bit of snow. This is more than I asked for.
Barstown Road was a challenge to cars, but walkers found it a breeze. So did this family. They were just waiting for this day, a test for their snowmobiles.
And we usually ride in Wisconsin and stuff. Matter of fact, we had them all loaded up. My husband was leaving for Wisconsin Wednesday. Looks like we have enough snow here. We don't have to go.
Tell the Ryans if you need to hitch a ride, they've got a corral of snowmobiles. And this man picked a more traditional way to get through the deep drifts, snowshoes.
This is great. Seldom I get to pull my toys out in Louisville.
Most folks use their feet to get around. And of course, so did the dogs. Look at this guy. His name is Omer. Those 7-inch legs weren't bothered a bit by the 15-inch snow. And this man says his best friend has been out in it all day.
They're like children. They love it. It's playtime.
Even missions of mercy were turned into fun. These girls were going to dig a friend's car out of the snow, but they turned it into recess. And in all this activity, there were still some folks who had their priorities straight.
No, I made some pizza for some friends of mine.
Oh, so you guys
We're going to watch movies and eat pizza.
The memory of the great snowstorm of '94 will linger. While politicians prepared for the next time, children made up classes, people caught up on their work, and drivers fought graying, melting drifts. The majesty of Mother Nature is what made our old Kentucky home the picture postcard of our winter dreams.